Hey guys, OGalbina here. For you guys, a different kind of video today. A video that I've been putting off for an immense amount of time, as you can see by the date of this tweet. Fourth wall broke, and I actually did record this once, and my audio was just completely corrupted, and I totally had no motivation to record it again right after. So here we are now. But a good couple weeks ago, I asked you, the people of, the Draft League community on Twitter. By the way, follow me on Twitter. OG_Albina is the tag. I asked you guys, Draft League Twitter, I need your help for a video. What Pokemon would you say that, or what Pokemon would you give a Mega? Bonus points if you give its stats an increase, and tell me which ones you want. So basically, this first video, I'm going to be doing two different parts of it. Is going to be me going over these tweets, reading and saying like, this is a cool idea, I don't know how I feel about this, or stuff like that. Just kind of going over the megas that you guys want as the Draft League community, and kind of going over them. So yeah, if you're new here, I do want to mention we do plenty of Draft League content, so go ahead and drop a sub, whether it be discussion videos like this or our own leagues and stuff like that. Definitely drop a sub, you won't be disappointed. We have plenty of great things going on the channel, and if you are enjoying the video, be sure to drop a like. If this video hits 20 likes in the first week that we upload it, I'll upload the part 2 immediately after. So definitely hit that like goal for me. And yeah, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into it. So first off, we have the John Jr. Giving us the worst suggestion humanly possible. It's gonna be Lumineon Fairywater. Now, if you guys don't know John, he's a very good friend of mine. He's a Draft League OG at this point. I believe I can call him like an old man when it comes to the draft scene. And he says Lumineon with Fairywater. If you don't know John, he won PMU. This is a Gen 6 Wi-Fi League, or Gen 7 now that we're uploading, but even before it was Gen 6 Wi-Fi League that my buddy Kurt owns, and he drafted Lumineon and brought it to an astounding amount of games. More games than it should have come to. And it became a personal favorite of John's. He wants to give it the Fairywater typing with this stats right here: 69 HP, 109 attack, 86 defense, 109 special attack, 86 speed def, and 101 special and 101 speed. Unfortunately, John just made a bad Pokemon extremely mediocre, and a Pokemon I would never draft. I remember talking to him about this after the fact when he kind of put this. I was like, damn, you kind of just made Lumineon more mediocre just as a Mega. And he said, damn, you're right. So unfortunately, John kind of swung and missed with this one. I would love to see a buff to Lumineon in some form, maybe even an evolution, because then regular Lumineon will be incredibly bulky with an EV Light with U-turn and cool moves like Defog and a bunch of utility in that sense. So unfortunate that the Mega here is not up to snuff. Next up is going to be my good buddy Kaz. He said, fuck, I'm always late to these, but rather Mega Hippowdon or Mega Jellicent with Regener. Next up is going to be my buddy Kaz, and he says, I'm always late to these, but Mega Hippowdon or Mega Jellicent with your Regenerator. Each would be lovely and bulky. Mega Corviknight with the ability to put Steel Stealth Rock up on the opponent's field every time it gets hit. 3 max, of course. So I'm assuming he means the Steel Spikes, is what I'm assuming he means, but I don't know. And then another one he said is going to be maybe a bit OP, but Mega Crusher with the ability to lower opponent's speed every time Crusher hits it. Only lower once if it's using a multi-attack move. I don't think that would be too insane, to be completely honest. We'll talk about it though. And then Mega Vikable with the ability Magnetize every time it switches in. Give it a usable speed tier and slightly more special attack. Be a really fun mod. Now these ideas, Mega Hippowdon and Mega Jellicent with Regenerator. I think Mega Jellicent with Regenerator would be awesome. Hippowdon as well, they would be absolute menaces. I've said it once, I'll say it again. I think Regenerator is by far the best ability in the draft format. And giving it to these behemoths, where I'm assuming they would gain a lot of defense and special defense, would be absolutely terrifying. To deal with Mega Corviknight with the ability to set up Steel Stealth Rock, I don't know. I think Mega Corvi would just be cool because it's an incredibly fat mon. I don't know how I feel about the ability to set up Steel Stealth Rock. Or I'm assuming 3 spikes in the way that Kaz kind of says this right here. I don't know if it necessarily needs that. I think the whole thing with Corvi versus Skarm is Skarm sets up hazards, Corvi's fatter, bulkier, and used more as a pivot. So I don't know how I feel about it getting up hazards. I more so like it in the role it has now. Maybe another ability though would definitely be pretty dope. And the Mega Crustle idea, I don't think it would be OP. It's actually a really interesting idea to have a Pokemon that, offers speed control in the sense as every time it hits something, it lowers its speed. I think that would actually be really, really darn cool. And it makes sense, like, if Crusher's throwing, like, you know, mud and bogging down the opponent, they get a little bit slower and slower each time, especially if it just becomes Crustle, but with bigger rock, or, like, a mountain, or, like, a big, you know, sludgy mess on top of its back. I think that would be dual. Mega Vikavolt with a usable speed tier would be absolutely amazing. This Pokemon, like, I think in the Pokedex actually says that it's supposed to be, like, incredibly fast, and for some reason, it's just not. It has an awful speed tier, actually. It's incredibly slow, which is unfortunate. But just kind of the case. Now, Magnarize, I don't know if I would give it Magnarize. If anything, I would just let it keep Levitate. I feel like gaining Magnarize is just kind of a nerf to regular Vikavolt in general. I think just keeping Levitate, unless I'm not understanding how Magnarize work, I think just keeping Levitate in general would be a lot nicer for it, in the sense that it already has those immunities. It's just permanent. I don't think you need to, you know, nerf Vikavolt by just giving it a more useful speed tier, especially if you end up giving it something like the 80s or something like that. So I think that would be really cool. I definitely think that Levitate is fine, though, to stay as its ability. Alright, next up we have good old Liv. Liv, our very good friend. It says Charizard Z, Fire Steel ability filter, adding 36 to its special attack, physical attack, adding 11 to its special attack, 22 to its defense, and 15 to its def, and then 16 to its speed. I think Liv is mostly joking, in the sense that she's giving Charizard yet another form. I think that would be absolutely hilarious. So I think she's joking in that sense, though I do think that the idea of a Fire Steel type with filter would actually be pretty darn cool. Kind of, you know, getting rid of that fighting weakness that it would be taking, and, you know, making it to where it doesn't drop to every straight Earthquake. It'd be really nice. Obviously, Fire Steel too. If you're playing in a league without first turn Mega, which you should be, because leagues should be first turn Mega in 2021. We're kind of past the stage of thinking that, you know, not Megaing immediately is some crazy perk that you shouldn't, you know, that takes away the competitiveness of the game. No, it only adds more, in my opinion. But regardless of that, if you are playing in a league that does allow you to, you know, not Mega first turn, it allows a lot of might games with between Fire Steel and Fire Flying, actually, you know, kind of really having a lot of different weaknesses. Obviously, you say I'm Mega and avoid that Earthquake, or you can Mega and avoid that Rock move. You go from being a 4 weakness to Stealth Rock to being neutral to Stealth Rock, which is also very, very nice in that sense. I don't think Charizard actually gets any Steel coverage, so you'd probably have to boost its moveset, though I do think just the idea of a Fire Steel type of filter would actually be really cool. I'd love to see more Pokemon get filter other than the Mr. Mime line and Mega Aggron. Alright, next up we have Dashing Sceptile saying Mega Rampardos Rock Dragon Reckless ability. Give it a new Dragon type move that does recoil. Stat-wise, it would have 97 HP, 190 attack, 100 defense, 70 special attack, 90 special defense, and then 105 speed. Dragon types are truly fantastic. Again, stat-wise, would be different, I'd say. Okay. Now, looking at this, I think this is actually a really, really cool idea. However, I feel like this is just better Tyrantrum. If you look at it, it's stronger. It's got very comparable bulk. Hold on, let's go to a team builder. I got a blank one pulled up. We got Tyrantrum. So 190 attack is higher. 97 HP is higher. Tyrantrum has a better defense stat. Special attack is higher. It doesn't really matter though. It's only one off. 90 special defense. Again, higher, and then 105 speed higher. So it's literally just better Tyrantrum. So it kind of takes away the niche of Tyrantrum, which is a little bit unfortunate. I think what makes this mon potentially insane, especially if you give it a Dragon type move that does recoil and is, you know, a benefactor of that reckless ability. I think that the 105 speed is too much. And it's an it's an insane boost to that stat that Rampardos already have. I believe, is it in the 40s or 50s? I know it's incredibly slow. Let's look. 58. So yeah, that is a boost and a half. Now I don't know if Mr. Dashing Sceptile here is doing the whole rule with you know, busts 100 to its base stat total. I don't know if anybody's really here doing that. I didn't really check everybody's math. I assume most people are. If they aren't, oh well, that's fun. But I think maybe giving this thing a little bit less in its speed would be absolutely amazing, because it already has access to Rock Polish. It already has access to Swords Dance as well, so a double dance stripper could be crazy. Maybe giving this thing maybe you can put it in its special defense, or just its defense stat, because it's a rock dragon, it's very bulky, you know, stuff like that. It's got that fossil Pokemon vibe to it, where most of their defense stats are actually pretty darn high. So I think this is actually a really cool idea. It would make Rampardos insane, 190 attack and head smashes, and with 105 speed, that would be absolutely insane. So maybe, especially if you give it Dragon Dance too. So maybe giving it a little bit less speed would be a little bit more beneficial, and making this model a little bit more balanced. I think it would be absolutely insane without that, with the coverage that it gets. I mean, this thing has actually phenomenal coverage. There's Gen 1 coverage if you look at it, but yeah, that's going to be Dashing Sceptiles. Definitely just curb back the speed a little bit. Okay, next up we have the Madoshe saying Mega Urzufu. Madoshifu himself wants a Mega Urzufu. Ability crits all moves, but moves lose half their base power. You add 40 attack, 20 speed, 20 defense, and 20 Spadef. Broken. Now, I think, though, this would actually make Urzufu worse. Now, hear me out. One, you're losing the ability to run an item, so you're not banded anymore, which means you're actually technically weaker. And two, if you're critting all your moves, but you're halving their base power, it makes that spammable Wicked Blow and those Surge Tracks actually weaker, because they already do crit in themselves. So you're making those moves weaker. You're just making it to where your close combats and U-turn and stuff like that crit. But I feel like this actually makes Urzufu a little bit weaker, personally. So I don't know if I'm necessarily here for this one, but I know the next one that you did, I'm for sure here for, and that is Mega Milotic. The Montreal Milotics wants Mega Milotic with Water Fairy. Ability is Pixelate, give it Hyper Voice, give it 29 speed, 40 special attack, 21 defense, and 10 Spadef. Make its base stat total pretty insane. Now, something I think that people forget about with Milotic is it actually has a really usable speed tier in base 81. It getting 110 would be legit insane, because it would outspeed all the fat and annoying things that it wants to without having to really run a lot of investment. Or you could just be fast as hell and run an offensive Milotic very, very viably, especially when you have 21 more defense and 10 more Spadef, making yourself a little bit bulkier. With Hyper Voice, Water plus Fairy is actually a really difficult stab to switch into, and it's such a phenomenal defensive typing. I mean, if you look at mons like Feeny, imagine Feeny if it got recovered. That would be Mega Milotic, which is absolutely insane, but it could also rest off its damage. I think with a proper Cleric, this Pokemon would be almost impossible to really break through and kill. This Pokemon will be absolutely amazing, though. Just throwing off Scald, Hyper Voices, Recover, Toxicking, Flip Turning, Ice Beaming, all that good stuff, it'd be absolutely insane to deal with. So I think that's actually a really cool idea, and I think it would make Milotic pretty darn insane. So this is, in fact, not these ones that are broken. I think this Pokemon would be pretty damn insane. So good suggestion by Matt for sure. All right, next up we have my boy Fran saying Mega Adina. I know Fran's a really big Mega Adina fan, just like another good friend of mine, John Jr. But after that, he says, okay, but in all seriousness though, I would love to give Slowking a Mega so that I can have a Mega alongside it. Bro, Butterfree is also a mon I would love to give a Mega. I know it has Gmax, but Gmax effing sucks. I think these are awesome ideas, particularly the Slowking. I think Slowking really deserves a Mega, and I think it got super shafted. I don't understand why Slowbro, but not Slowking. And Fran's idea for the stats makes a ton of stats. It's literally Mega Slowbro, Mega Slowbro, but the defense and the special defense stats are inverted, and I think that would be absolutely awesome. It would be just a Spadef version of Mega Bro, and I think that can actually be incredibly valuable in a lot of instances. You keep that regen pre-Mega, which means you can teleport around, still being an annoying nuisance, and then when you need that extra Spadef to take that one hit, you're going to be able to. And a lot like Bro on the defensive side, on the Spadef side, you just wouldn't die. You'd be not getting to it killed by super effective coverage very often. And I think it keeps up with the theme. I think Slowbro and Slowking have very similar stats, and I think their bulks are just swapped. Let's see, 110, 110, and then 80, 80, yeah. 80. Yeah, I think legit the exact same, minus those stats are going to be inverted. Same special attack stat. It's literally just the Spadef and defense switch. So I think that's actually an absolutely amazing idea by Fran. I would totally be here for it. And now as for his Mega Butterfree suggestion, he says attack you minus 30, defense you give it 60, special attack you give it 20, special defense you give it 60, and then speed you give it minus 10. If you give it a broken ability, give it Magic Guard, and a more balanced ability would be Shield Dust. It's a tier 2 Mega if it has Shield Dust. If Magic Guard, it's bannable because it doesn't take Toxic or Rocks. I'm gonna raise you this. I think Shield Dust is pretty mediocre. Yeah, I do agree. I don't think it would be broken if you gave it Magic Guard, just because of the fact that Butterfree's coverage is almost non-existent, especially it steals, and when you lose that tinted lens that you have in that offensive role, it's going to be a lot harder to deal with. Any steel type ever is just going to be a really good check to you, because you can't toxic him, you can't status him down, be annoying, and things like that. So I think Magic Guard would actually be really cool for it, or an idea of, you know, keeping that tinted lens, which I do think that Butterfree gets, right? Let's check. Butterfree. Yeah, it does get tinted lens. So I think keeping tinted lens or getting Magic Guard would both be really cool options. I'm here for Butterfree getting a Mega, because, like, yeah, I got a G-Max, but Mega Beedrill got a Mega, and I think people look on Beedrill a little bit more fondly than they do Butterfree in that sense because of that. So I think Butterfree deserves that. And I think it'd be cool if it was really fat and annoying. I think that Beedrill is incredibly fast and strong and obnoxious. So it would be kind of the opposite of it in that sense. So good stuff, my friend. Next up, we have Obo29 suggesting his favorite mon as well. I think that's a big theme by a lot of people, is suggesting their favorite Pokemon, which totally makes sense. I'm totally here for it. If my two favorite Pokemon didn't have a Mega, I'd for sure be talking to them in my own, myself. So Obo's gonna say Mega Snorlax with the normal Steel. Typing, keeping Thick Fat as ability, 200 HP, 140 attack, 85 defense, 65 special attack, 120 special defense, and then 30 speed. I think this would be cool. It would rely on rest pretty darn heavily, because you can't berry up, you can't get your lefties back very often, and then your glaring fighting weakness becomes a little bit more apparent. And you gain a weakness to Earthquake, which is also very, very unfortunate. Your fire weakness is pretty much, you know, null and void. But you don't resist it anymore. Now, you would get stab heavy slams, and if you make this thing even heavier, that would be pretty insane. Not a lot of Pokemon switch into normal Steel. It's actually a very solid offensive typing, especially with Snorlax's crazy Gen 1 coverage, so it would be really cool offensively in that sense. As for its stats, it looks like it got buffed pretty considerably in its attack, so used a little bit more offensively, it would be pretty darn cool. You can still curse up and be fat and annoying, and your Spadef is still insane. You still get a buff there, and you get 40 more HP, which is insane. Something I would love to see is, instead of giving it that 40 buff and HP, keeping it at 160, and then buffing 40 in its defenses, which is 85, so it would be at 105 instead. I think that would be awesome. And then, like, giving it 20 HP or something like that. Like, swap these two buffs would be pretty nuts, because it doesn't need all that HP. I think circumventing its mediocre defense stat a lot would really help out with this Pokemon. And again, crazy coverage, it would be pretty solid offensively, so it's a cool suggestion. I would probably still prefer regular Lax, just because the item ability, I feel like it appreciates it a little bit more, but still really good. Next up, we got Trexo saying Mega Gliscor, keep Poison Heal, add 30 to its attack, 30 to its defense, and then 40 to its Spadef stat, and it's just ungodly fat. And I do agree, I think that's absolutely insane. I do think the only issue with keeping Poison Heal is that you can't automatically proc it, so you kind of have to play a little bit reckless, but it's nice to have a fat one that doesn't have to be poisoned. Though I feel like, again, I would just prefer regular Gliscor at that point, just so I can reliably get that Poison Heal off, because that's absolutely insane on a Pokemon. But, you know, this would still be very, very cool. It still has all the crazy utility that Gliscor has. I mean, this thing's move pool is so damn deep, and it's so useful. Obviously getting Earthquake, and I believe Dual Wing Beat is a tutor move that we think that it's going to get, if leaks are correct, though we don't know that for sure. It gets Swords Dance, it gets U-Turn and Knockoff, and what do you call it, and Defog, it gets Rocks, it gets Taunt, so it's a great stall breaker with Facade when you're poisoned. Absolutely annoying to switch into. It's a balanced fat build killer, because you can't poison it, you can't will it down like that, and it's not getting worn down by spikes or hazards really either. And you can get rid of them for the rest of the team. So this Pokemon is absolutely insanely bulky as is. So making it bulkier would obviously be really nice, and you can just not worry about being poisoned, which is really nice. So it would still be pretty damn good mon, just as Gliscor already is right now. Now, Cursed Magpie, or I don't know if it's Magpie or Magpie, but Cursed here, it says, I think Pseudos mostly have Megas. I think since Pseudos mostly have Megas, then Goodra would be kind of cool. It evolves in the rain, so maybe buff to its speed and attack and give it Swift Swim. This would be pretty darn cool. Now, I've used a Mega Goodra before, and I know you're thinking, like, oh, what do you mean you've used Mega Goodra? There's actually a draft league called the GP. I'll link them in the description below. They're a very, very big server, and they have their own showdown server where they have custom Megas that they design, balance, and put on the server themselves. And it's really cool. I've played in the league 2 seasons. I've won my division 1 time using Mega Lantern, and then the next season I played, I didn't do as well, but I drafted Mega Goodra, and I think their concept for Mega Goodra was awesome. So give me 1 second, I'm going to pull that up really quick. Alright, here we are. We are on the GPL Showdown server, as it's in freaking light mode. I haven't been on this server in a while, you can tell. Ah, there we go. That looks so much better. As you can see, they have their Showdown server, custom megas, a bunch of cool stuff. Let me pull up Mega Goodra. Very cool Pokemon. I love its design. They actually gave it the Dragon Poison typing, and look at this beefy stat line. 130, 140 attack spread, 175 defense with 90 HP and 85 defense. I believe it keeps the base 80 speed. Gooey, allowing it to outspeed a lot of things. And this Pokemon is incredibly difficult to kill with a good Wish Pasture. I also drafted with like Glue and Grassy Terrain. The Dragon Poison typing is absolutely insane when you have fire and ground coverage already because of your crazy pseudo legendary move pool. This Pokemon is actually really cool. I think it's actually really slept on in their format. I think they have it as like a tier 3 mega, which I think is absolutely insane. I really enjoyed using it. So I think a buff like this would be really cool. This idea also works, being that it's a rain Pokemon. But the only thing with it getting Swift Swim is I don't think it has any physical water moves. So if you make it physically attack boosting, I don't think that would help it all too much. Maybe if you give it a special attack boost, you make it like, you know, a special version of Mega Swampert, very bulky, but also very strong and fast in the rain. I think that would also be very cool to see this thing like really go crazy. Maybe give it Dragon Water typing as like the dual typing, so it still gets to stab. That'd be really cool as well. So I'm super here for Mega Goodra. I'd like it to, you know, be on par with the other pseudo legendaries that like so wholeheartedly outclass it right now. Next up, we have Gohan, which might be our last one of the day because these are some pretty in-depth ones. The first one he's going to do is going to be Mega Samurai with a water fighting typing. Ability Samurai. Sword/Slash moves get a 30% power increase. Notable buffs would be Razor Shield, Sacred Sword, Air Slash, and Night Slash, giving a nice even stat spread there with 130 in both of his attacks, 100 defense, 80 SPDF, 93 speed, and then keeping that 90 HP. Really buffing it up there, making a strong mixed attacker, but honestly giving me big Megazord X vibes in the sense that its physical and special attack are equal, which a lot of people kind of forget about with regular Zard, or with Megazord X, I feel like. I mean, I guess I can show it, might as well while I talk about it, give you guys a visual. Mega Charizard X actually, again, does have 130 in both of its attacks. These stat spreads, very similar, but it being physical is a little better because it has Tough Claws, and same thing with this thing, getting a boost with slashing moves makes it a lot better. Outside of just Air Slash is the only special one that I can, you know, really think of there, unless they give it a, you know, like newer moves and stuff like that. So I think Sword and Slash moves getting increased would be really cool. I'd love to see Samurai get a little better. I'd love to see all of the Gen 5 stars get a little bit better. Superior was already absolutely amazing, but then they kind of nerfed it a little bit, and now it's not as amazing. And the reason I bring this one up too is because I believe Lux actually did the same thing. We'll touch on these in another video. Lux said Blade works, same idea, boosting slash Razor Sword moves. Water, Ice, or Steel, or Fighting either works. Steel doesn't clash with Ember, which is fair. Yeah, kind of keeping the in-game idea of it intact. And then, what do you call it? Stat spread rise. We see it actually has more special attack on Lux's version and more speed. It's a little less bulky. The same attack stat. I like the idea of it having more special attack too, because then it makes it more viable to go mixed or full special. Like, you don't feel forced to bring, you know, physical every week, which definitely makes sense. So, multiple people want to see Mega Samurott happen, so it would be cool to see it get a little bit more love. Maybe fix up its kind of mediocre design as well. Another one while we're here, Lux touched on, was going to be Gliscor, giving it Tough Claws, and then giving it 75 HP, 150 attack, 165 defense, 70 special attack, 115 SPDF, and 55 speed. Giving that same speed stat, but getting stronger and getting fat as hell and not being hindered by emergency exit, which would be absolutely awesome. This Pokemon is already so damn strong. I think people really sleep on it. First impressions and liquidations, Aqua Jets, Leech Slice, gets close combat and Drill Run for coverage as well. This Pokemon hits really hard. It actually gets Sword Stance as well, which is again very scary. Now, emergency exit isn't as bad as people like to make it out to be sometimes. Honestly, I feel like it gets a little too much flack. And can definitely be used strategically to pivot, and Boots made Gliscor a lot better this gen, but this would just, you know, make it exponentially better where you don't have to worry about the negative downsides to, you know, emergency exit and things like that. Now, you have to be careful before you Mega that you, you know, don't let this thing get too chipped, but not the biggest deal in the world in all honesty. I'd love to see Gliscor get buffed. This Pokemon's already so good. I love it as a low tier pickup in draft, and seeing it get better is only good news to me. So, I'm super here for big Gliscor getting buffed. And then lastly, we can kind of talk about Gohan's last suggestion here, which is going to be Mega Golem. Fire Ground, ability Molten Rock, Rock type moves become Fire type and gain a 30% power increase. Gains 40 attack, 50 defense, 10 speed F, and 0 speed and special attack and HP. So big buff to these stats all around, and I think this would be cool. Now, I don't know if any of you guys have played Pokemon Insurgents, but there is an ability in Insurgents called Foundry, which turns, I believe it's rock-type moves. It's either rock or steel-type moves into fire moves and gives them an increase. So it's actually very similar to that, which I think would be awesome. I think this would be really cool, too, if it turns Stealth Rock like they do in, in Insurgents into, like, a fire-type Stealth Rock. I would love to see more Pokemon, or more forms of hazards forcing chip on different kinds of Pokemon, if that makes sense. Making it to where a bulky grass has to come in and take 25% is pretty darn insane and really cool. Or just there's a ton of typings that could really help out with. Obviously, ice types would still be screwed because they're ice types. But having a steel type come in and take 25% from one layer of hazards is really cool. And forcing boots on those Pokemon or things like that could be really cool to mess around with. So I'm super here for the Mega Golem idea, and I think like the design of it could be really cool. It could be very similar to like the Mega Steelix, the Delta Mega Steelix or the Delta Mega Glalie in Insurgents right now. So I think that's actually a really, really awesome idea by Gohan. But yeah, that's going to be part 1 of the video. I'll finish it up in part 2 if you guys do hit that 20 like goal. So be sure to like the video if you enjoyed. Sub if you're new for sure. And yeah, let me know in the comments. Is there any cool Megas that you really want to see? If I get a ton of comments, I might even do a part 3, just like a comment edition. Because when I did the Pokemon buffs you guys want to see, I got a ton of comments on them, and I almost made a 3rd part based on the comments. So if you guys want to see that, let me know as well. And yeah, with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.